Next call we got here, we got Rick, who's talking to us from Canada. Rick, you are live on Talk Heathen. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing all right. It's a nice day today, you know.
It's a good one.
Yes.
How's it going for you, Rick?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Great. What did you want to talk to us about today?
So I wanted to address your question popped up about Christian nationalism again, and I kind of wanted to touch on morality in the Bible.
Okay.
So, I wanted to start. I just wanted to ask you a hypothetical question. So, if you were at home and somebody broke into your house and they wanted to rape your daughters, kill your sons, and take your wife, do you feel like you have a right to kill them?
This was not the question I was
going to say. That's a little bit. When you said, Christian nationalism and morality in the Bible.
I think I have a right to stop them. At least, yeah. I mean, like I would, if I had means to stop them without killing them, I would do that first. Yeah, I mean.
But what if they wouldn't stop till they were dead? You'd have to kill them, right?
I mean, if killing was an absolute last resort, then yes, but it's not going to be my go-to.
The premise of your question has defined the answer.
I mean, also, like, I have to, if I don't know necessarily until it's happening what kind of violence they would want to do unless they're explicitly telling me ahead of time. And if they're telling me ahead of time, then yeah, I would do every means possible to prevent that. But like, you know, I don't know what this has to do with morality in the Bible, though.
Yeah. Well, because I'll show you. So then let's pretend that 3,500 years ago there were no police or phones. Okay. So then if after you killed that guy, 15 years his kid came to do it, what would you do then? Would you kill his kid?
Wait. So hold on. Wait.
So I'm sorry. So in this hypothetical, a man has broken into my home. I have killed him to defend my family, and then 15 years later, his son has broken into my home. What would I do?
Yeah. Same thing, right? Obviously. Of course, defend your family again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do my best to defend my family, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of asked the question, if you had to kill someone to defend your family, would you? Okay, would you do it again if that person's child came? I'm not sure I understand what the question is trying to determine.
Yeah, well,
if the next question is, would you do it again if it was a different stranger, but also he brought a jar of peanut butter, I would sort of go, okay, that wouldn't change anything for me, but I'm curious as to why you asked peanut butter. I'm curious as to why this time it's his son.
Well, that's the point, right? So you guys laugh at and make fun of the Bible for Amalekites and Canaanites, but that's the exact story.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah,
absolutely
no, I'm sorry.
not.
Yeah,
See,
no. When you go into someone else's village and genocide them, that's very different than a strong stance on the
destroying and enslaving a nation state is different from defending your home from your family from a single invader. Those are two completely different things. I am so sorry that you don't see that. Yeah. It really is. I mean, like, this is the same shit that, I'm sorry, but the Holocaust was based on, right? Because you think individual Jewish people are evil or have done wrong, and therefore we should kill all of them. That's literally the same logic you're employing here.
You do realize when Saul went to attack the Amalekites and the Canaanites, they were burning villages down.
I think the Bible says they were doing a lot of things, but the Bible has actually never been a very good historical record for archaeology. When archaeology was really starting to get going in the 20th century, a lot of archaeologists were trying to figure out, hey, how could we, figure out how some of these stories are true and how these other ones aren't? Most of the stories we've found out don't really have a lot of biblical basis, including the interactions between the Jewish tribes of Israel and what happens with their nation states. I mean, like, it's just stories. It's just political propaganda, and a lot of that stuff didn't really happen. I couldn't tell you individually between which tribe invaded which tribe, but it's all just it's political talk. It's political speech. It doesn't actually defend or give anybody the right to, again, enslave or demolish a nation, especially if you have God on your side. Right? Like, if you have the God of the universe on your side, I'm sure you can figure out a peaceful solution that doesn't involve killing and enslaving people. But, that's just me.
Yeah, you should just find a peaceful solution for people trying to rape your daughters.
If you have the God of the universe on your side, yes, I think, there should be humane ways of dealing with that. Don't you agree? Like, if you had the power of God, would you choose violence or would you choose something more humane?
Yeah, so if you read the Bible, in Exodus, they do
hold on.
run free.
Oh.
Do it again and again and again.
If you were God, if you were God, if you were God, and somebody's invading your home and they're trying to kill your family, would you choose the humane option?
If I was God?
Yeah, if you were God. In this situation, let's turn this situation around. Because you said if I was in this, right? And I'm just a person. But let's say I'm God and somebody's trying to invade me or even my people. Let's not even say family. Let's just say people. If you were God and these people were doing this, what is the best course of action here?
Yeah, but this is a hypothetical that never happened.
Well, it is. Apparently it is, because you're saying that a nation state invaded another nation state and therefore we have the right to invade them back. So your logic that this did happen.
Also,
right?
If you start your conversation by giving us a hypothetical, and then when Dan gives you a
if we ask hypothetical
back,
and you're not okay with
say,
that,
no, that's not a.
I don't understand
because it's a hypothetical.
But Rick, tell me, if you're God, what would you do?
Well, God didn't step in. So when
Yes. So
wait, God didn't step in? Are you sure about that? Are we reading the same Bible?
I think he means to stop the Amalekites.
You're
Okay.
talking about nonsense, man. Like, God didn't step in to stop anybody at that point. They did what they had to do to survive, and you would have done it too. You just admitted.
Why wouldn't God step in? Why wouldn't God stop that? I mean, look, he did it for the Egyptians, right? Did God not smite the Egyptians with plagues and all kinds of other stuff? I mean, did God not help the Israelites in other situations where they went around Jericho and tore the walls down? I mean, God seems to be able to do stuff for the people. So why didn't it happen this time?
Well, these things can all be explained by natural. God can manipulate nature, right? He can do whatever he wants, but he manipulates nature.
Interesting. But he doesn't stop a nation state from being enslaved and killed.
Beings, right? The point is they had to defend themselves. Whether you think God should have stepped in or not, that's not the point.
Even in the example you brought up, you said when he went to attack them, they were burning villages.
Right.
That's not self-defense if you go to attack someone in their home.
Yeah.
Additionally, if God is supposed to set this moral example and lift the people up by being pure and moral and holy and everything, presumably that wouldn't include genocide. Presumably, God would provide answers that don't lead to genocide. Or is genocide more of a problem for me than your God?
So you admit you would do the same thing at the start of the call, but now it's, God should be highly moral.
I think we addressed the proposed similarities between an individual is attempting to rape the members of my household and I'm going to take an army and invade my neighbors.
Yeah, first of all, here's the difference.
There's a distinction there.
I'm not God, right? So if I was God, I would do things differently. I'm just a human being. If somebody came into my house and tried to do things, I would stop them with the physical powers that may be. But I'm not God.
Yeah,
right.
If I had a gun and a taser in my hand and I knew that I could tase someone,
if I had a taser, I would tase them
and
first,
prevent
right?
it,
Yeah, exactly.
I would. Why didn't God defend his people by in any way except ordering them to commit genocide?
Yeah.
So if one by one they burn down your neighbors' homes, you wouldn't assume they're coming to you next? You would just go,
You are completely missing the point, Rick.
If I had the power of God, I would make it so that the homes that they tried to set on fire didn't burn. Yeah. Why is it that I have thought of something that it doesn't involve genocide, that defends my people, that your God didn't think of?
See, it's funny. You guys, I watch you guys, and you guys always criticize the Israelites for defending their property, their homes, and their people. But now it's God should step in, right? When you're called out on it and would do the same thing, then all of a sudden it's, God should...
To be very clear, when you say they're defending their people, you are describing the action of going and attacking their neighbors.
I just gave you the example. If 3 of your neighbors' houses were burned down, would you assume you were next, or would you just sit there?
I would assume that there wasn't an all-powerful God that was benevolent that wanted those houses not to be burned.
Yeah, the all-powerful God gave them the encouragement to defend them.
Yeah, if I had not even the powers of God, if I had the power of Superman, they wouldn't be able to terrorize my people, and I'd be able to stop them without killing literally everyone, the children, cutting open the bellies of the pregnant women. Yeah, if Superman could and would do a better job than the God described in this story, why do you worship the God in this story and not Superman?
Well, because Superman's never proved that he's real. And Superman is a completely different thing. You're not.
Interesting.
That's why we don't worship God.
Interesting.
They did what they had to do, which you just admitted you would also do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. To be very clear, at no
no.
point in this call did I say yes, I would lead a genocidal crusade.
Yes,
So I have
also,
not said I would do the same
Rick,
thing.
for the third time now, I'm not God. I am not God, okay? If I was God, I would do something different. That is the criticism that we have. First of all, these stories, I can't even justify the morality of these tales because half of them aren't even true and don't describe like real historical events in the way that, you know, we would accurately describe them. But even if they were true, right, if we're working with the premise that there is a God who actively involves himself in the nation state of Israel, right, and does actions for them or sometimes against them, depending on the story, then there is something that God could or could not do in these situations, hypothetically. And I think if he was real, that it's not the best job. It's not the best. And that is the criticism that atheists have. But again, that's with the premise that God is even real, which we don't necessarily buy into. Well, we don't buy into. I don't say necessarily, but
yeah.
So
So
there you go, Rick.
You guys always criticize the Israelites. You always criticize the Israelites. Yes, we can be critical of actions taken by people, but the important part of this story in terms of when there's an atheist and a theist discussing it is, okay, well, if there's a God in this story, why would he order genocide rather than doing one or more miracles that prevent it?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But like moving on, I mean, do you know the USA alone spent close to $1 trillion in trade with 3 of the biggest slaveholders on the planet? How come you guys don't care about that?
Rick,
do.
First of all, you must not watch me. You don't know who I am, Rick. First of all, I am a huge critic of the American war machine, okay, and what America has done in the past. You don't watch me. You don't know me. That's what this tale is.
Do you?
Oh, Rick.
You don't buy iPhones, do you? You don't buy the products, right? Is that you don't support slavery, do you?
Rick,
buy products from those places?
Rick, first of all, this is a completely different argument for what you called in for. Okay, first we're talking about hypotheticals about whether my family's going to be killed, and now we're talking about buying iPhones. So we can readjust and figure this out. Yes, buying into consumer capitalist, ideas does promote slavery in some countries and does do awful things. It's terrible. I've definitely thought about it. I've thought about getting, sourced phones from other things. And also, I'm a vegan, so I try not to support the violence that happens with animals and everything that happens with there too. Like Rick, we can always do better for stuff, but what the fuck does that have to do with God being real or not? I mean, really, that's what I want to know. Like, is if your criticism is our morality is inconsistent, well, yeah, we're human beings. Who cares? But like, God should be like reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, God's actions should at least make sense on some level. And I don't see how allowing the actions that Israelites and other people have taken, according to the stories of the Bible, make the most sense. They really don't. Especially if later on he's just going to send his son to sacrifice himself for all of our sins anyway. It just kind of defeats the point of all the violence,
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Old Testament was about the survival of the Jewish lineage. That's all it was about, and they survived.
Wasn't it also about the prophecies that foretell the coming of Jesus as a Messiah?
I think it's about a lot of things, but
yeah.
And then also about what God's
who cares?
correct way to own a slave is.
So what? It's about the lineage. Who cares?
As it was
What's the point?
Of a people, and they did what they had to do to survive. When Jesus came, he changed it.
It seems like people that had a God wouldn't have to commit genocide to survive.
I know, that's the thing, right?
That had Jesus on their side would find a way, would be able to survive without committing genocide. Because lots of tribes, many of them not the Israelites, quote, did what they had to do.
Yeah.
But if the people of God act no better or differently in any significant, real way, then the people not following that same God, well, then the difference isn't on earth. And then when you point to, oh, okay, there's some mystical, powerful force, well, I don't see it. So what am I supposed to take away from this?
It's because it's free will. You're jumping to, right, when you guys are called out on the facts, you guys jump to, oh, God should show himself divinely.
I don't think you've demonstrated any facts, and I don't think that you've made a coherent point, honestly. I really don't know. Rick, I'm going to let you go, because you call in, you're angry, you tell us that we're hypocrites. You don't fucking know me, okay? All right, you don't know me, you don't know what I'm doing, and what I have to say about the American government and its past, okay? So,
So, yeah.
I'm probably a stronger critic than you. But look, point is, right, we can talk about what the Israelites have done and what other people have done. At the end of the day, I don't even think half of those stories are real in the first place. I mean, I think you can actually point to, at the time at which this stuff was written, was not concurrent to a lot of the events that they describe, right? I think it is in part political propaganda.
I'm given to understand that there's genetic evidence that some Amalekites survived.
Yeah.
So
also,
not only is it possibly not the true story of a genocide, I'm supposed to believe that that would have been a good thing, or that did happen and is a good thing.
yeah.
And forgive me for having modern morals and applying them to the past, but I pretty much always think genocide. Not for me.
When white people say they think they're God's chosen people, I think that's disgusting, and I think any group of people saying they're God's chosen people is also disgusting.
Unless you're left-handed.
Well, it's like that's the thing too. Like, the argument was made that Israel. It's the lineage of Israel. Okay, so what?
So also,
is it not? Are we not supposed to all be saved? Why does this?
I also have this question: okay, so do they believe that Joseph is actually Jesus's father then? Because that contravenes the whole virgin. Well, then what is the significance of the lineage if it ends right before Jesus?
There's a lot of questions about the actual
Joseph didn't do shit in the Bible. So
we should move on. We should move on. We got another couple quick announcements.
I can own a donkey if I want. That's all he did. So
what?
Joseph, he had a donkey, and then Mary rode on it, and then literally not even when they tell the Christmas story do they mention him again. Oh, he's over there. He's got a stick.
You're a special man, Jamie. I don't know where your brain goes to sometimes, but you're over here talking about donkeys and stuff.
Well, I mean, what is the okay?
We got to move on.
The point is the survival of.
I know it's been a while since you've been on the show, Jamie.
It's no different than any other ancient troop of people, but also they're special and their genocides are.
I hear you. Okay,
bring me another caller.